Who doesn't like modern technology? Like today we have so much stuff like our iPhone, smartphones, computers, and that we can do so much with it. But what is it? Well, my claim is that modern technology has a negative effect on teenagers. Like, what is it? Computers, TVs, and game consoles can make them obese, and it can affect them in their academics, and it can also make them become antisocial. So then, technology intervention, more processed food, a greater amount of screen time, less exercise, and high consumption of snack food have played a role in the high obesity rate for teenagers. And when we are watching TVs or on our gadgets, we don't really like exercise or move around a lot. And then during that time, we are like on our technology stuff, like our iPhone and stuff. It's not as much time as we like exercise, because we don't exercise as much as we like touch our gadgets. And then I think teens are spending way too much time on the gadgets. And then, well, technology affects the academics because teens usually are on the gadgets when they're like studying or like on Facebook. And the internet has so much stuff on it that teens can just like Google the answers or the questions. And in the Pew survey, they say that teens are likely to send instant message to people other than their 20s, like 68% to 59%, and play online games, 78% versus 50%. And a study by Dr. Rosen at Cal states that 16 and 18-year-olds in the average free time, they are usually texting or sending instant message and checking their Facebook while sitting in front of the TV. And then 8-year-olds to 18-year-olds usually spend like 7.5 hours on the device. And then 47% of the heaviest media users had LCCs or lower. Yeah, and then the ease of communication, let us check email and send message 24/7. And then this has, which makes it harder for us to like communicate face to face. And then this has reduced the communication between the kids and their parents due to lack of quality time spent together. And then as we are more connected today, we are also isolated from our friends and family from the new technology. And in conclusion, modern technology is used in many ways, but it affects the way we live. We should limit how much we use technology so we can live a healthier life. Thanks.
All right, I think you started off pretty well. The rhetorical question, is an attention device, was fine. You have a clearly stated proposition. There's actually a good preview of what the secondary issues are going to be. And so we generally know where your direction is and what your point of view is. Now, when you get into the body of the speech, I didn't think that you did a very good job signposting that you were at the start of the speech. It really, you've got this transition information that sounds like an explanation of the first point, even before we know that you've arrived at that first point. And I think that's problematic. Most of the information on the first point is just your own summaries summarization or inference here, and I didn't hear any evidence that was being referred to on that particular point. Hypothetical examples at best about kids eating chips and playing video games and not really exercising. I didn't hear any data there that suggested that that's a result of the technology. That seems to be your conclusion, and I'm not sure what that's based on, except that the assumption that people can't really be in good shape if they're spending all that time on that. That's a presupposition, and I think you need better evidence on that point. On your second argument about academics, I thought that you did a little bit better job. The first information was not all that convincing, but the further you got into that argument, I thought the evidence became better and better, and you had some pretty good source citations there. You had one statistic that showed that the heaviest users had lesser grades, and I thought, okay, that clearly connects the conclusion that you're making on that point. So I like that. Like I said, I think the evidence on the second half of that argument got a little bit better. Your third point was not very clear to me, and it felt like it was over before you even got started on it. I think you need to look up and speak a little bit more clearly. I don't mean to give you a hard time about this, but you always want to take the gum out before you start speaking, because you know what? I can hear you doing it, and it sometimes affects the way your words come out. So you want to watch that sort of thing. Just a little public